Hello, welcome back to my video series where I've been making a game using DirectX 11 and C++. And what you can see at the moment is what I had at the end of the last video. I'd rendered a couple of basic 3D shapes. I'd put in some basic camera movement where I was just changing the position the camera was looking at. And I'd also added the ability to increase and decrease one of the shapes in size, which we should see in a moment. There we go. Okay, so this is what we've got today, and as you can see, it's looking pretty different to what I had before. Specifically, it's looking quite a bit grayer. And the reason for that is I've introduced something called directional lighting, where essentially I've defined a direction that I want a light source to be pointing, or a light source, and each side of a shape is shaded a different shade of gray, depending on the angle it forms with this direction of light. So you can see as the cube rotates, depending on which way a side is facing, it will be shaded either a light or a dark shade of gray. And you can see with the post looking thing as well, that one side is darker, the one that's facing towards the back, where I've got light, or I've defined the direction of light to be shining from the right hand side. And in terms of where I got the material to introduce this from, again, it's sort of the same old story as with the other videos. I have been using directxtutorial.com. I feel a little bit bad for always bringing up the same source, especially when it's not, I mean, this lesson itself isn't free. You know, I ended up paying a premium quite a few years ago, and so I've still got it. But at the same time, you know, it's, as I said, I've used it for quite a long time. It works for me, so I'm not really in a position where I feel like I need to change it, but I'm sure there's other material out there for you. Okay, so the other major change is that I've now got something that much more closely resembles a first-person camera. So at the end of the last video, I had a camera that just hovered above the scene and I could change where it was looking. And now I've got something which, as I said, is behaving much more like a first-person camera, where it looks like I'm moving around. And so I'm just pressing the W, A, S, and D keys at the moment. And I'm not going to go through exactly how I implemented it. Basically, it was just something I worked out with pen and paper. It's quite basic trigonometry. But if you really want, I've included my code in a public repository on GitHub, and I'll include a link in the description. So you can either have a look at it through my GitHub repository, or if you really wanted me to go into the details of it myself, you could leave a comment and I'll respond in there. So in terms of what's next on my list of things to do, I really want to keep focusing on producing a good looking scene, and so that's going to be things like introducing shadows. There's extra lighting I can introduce in addition to directional lighting, being able to load textures onto the sides of shapes, or even loading models or meshes created in an external 3D modeling program into the scene. Just the things that are really important for the foundations of the game before I start getting into game mechanics, because the more I can do while things are simple, the easier it's going to be later on. And that also includes, as well, I don't want to be able to run through all the objects in my scene, and so some sort of detection of when I'm touching the objects as well, so that the camera can't advance through them. But yeah, that's it for this video, and hope to see you in later videos. Thank you.